Hello and welcome. My name is Chris Architect. I'm a game editor over at gstylemag.com, and I'm here to talk about Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. Ubisoft sent me a code last week, and I was able to finish it this past weekend. I did the mainline story as well as most of the side content. My written impression will publish soon on the website, but I'm not gonna read off it because I suck at reading off of things. Not that it's bad; it's just it just sounds like I'm reading a script. It's not organic at all, and I'm not. I'm just not good at that. You'll hear a lot of run-on sentences, repeats, stuttering and shit like that. But yeah, I just want to talk about it naturally, as if I'm having a conversation with you. But yeah, let's start with the elephant in the room. Is it a Far Cry clone with blue people? No. It was just immediately apparent that its focus is far more explorative than it is just like follow the chaos. The game is very immersive in a sense that it encourages the player to try to take in as much as possible of your surroundings. And Massive Entertainment did a hell of a job using the SnowDrop Engine, which is the same engine they used in the Division. But it is cranked up to like 40 here. I mean, it is pretty visceral. The amount of things you can explore in this game is a visual feast for sure. I played this game on a RTX 4090 PC, and I was able to crank it up to 4K. There's some ray tracing elements that just really enforced the engine in ways that it's hard to find outside of games like Cyberpunk 2077, for example. Now, what's interesting before I dive into why this game looks good is when you're dealing with the graphic settings, there's no ray tracing option. It's actually embedded within the shadows, lighting, and reflection settings itself. If you max it out, that's when ray tracing basically takes into effect. And before I dive into how beautiful the game looks, I have to preface that the ray tracing is not the best here. It is using a mix of. You may hear my twins in the background, so sorry about that. But it uses a mix of SSR and ray tracing so that it's like it still looks good in motion, but doesn't take as much impact into your performance, right? It looks really, really good in forest, but you'll notice you'll notice the SSR taken into effect when you're like really focused on reflections from like lakes or like metals. Like I often do when I play these games because I'm a sucker for taking in the sights. I mean, you can go on your Ecron, fly above the clouds, and then you can dive through it, and then in real time go through the volumetric cloud and then experience all the wonder. Lightning can also damage you, which is awesome. That's like taking a book from Breath of the Wild, for example. Then when you're exploring in the ground, which is where you start, you will immediately take in the amount of flora and fauna that is like thrown at you. An insane level of like different variety of plant life, insects, wildlife, docile ones, hostile ones. It is just, and they're all talking to each other. It's all varied, and it is like just immense. It's dense. It's almost claustrophobic, but it's also open enough for you to move around and explore. And I would say like 70% of plant life is interactable, And like 30% of them is probably hostile against you. You could get poisoned from it. You could get shocked from it. You could get seeds thrown at you. They react the closer you get. Your character, you're playing in first person, but you can look down and see the torso and legs just like you would in Cyberpunk. That is also reflective of your armor piece that you're wearing, and you can see that when your character is going closer to like these reactive plants, like your character will reach out to it and then it like jolt back if it like retracts quickly, right? Or like when you get like there'll be like mushroom like plant life, and like if you go close to it or run through it, which you will often because there's so much going on in this game, that your character will like get pushed back from it, from an explosion, for example. And the pushback effect also applies to like explosion from like tanks and stuff, right? Like gas tanks. There's actual blowback effect. Your character will react to it and get blown back, and it's actually a really cool effect. But yeah, it's just insects. You'll see a variety of alien-like insects just like floating in front of you, different kinds. But basically, you'll see like a bunch of insects just roaming around together in the sky, for example, and then insects crawling on the ground. And same thing with like an alien deer will like pass by you, or like a horde of ox-like aliens and such. It's just insane, and it's dynamic, and it's fluid, and it's natural, and it's like, how can you not love that element, right? They really, like, Massive Entertainment really went in on just like showing the love and care for the franchise and making sure that they do justice by that, because you don't really remember Avatar for like its deep storytelling, right? You remember it for its CGI fidelity. You're gonna remember that for Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. Now let's talk about gameplay. The gameplay, there's a very distinct loop in the game that is very different from Far Cry. In Far Cry, what you do is you get your fucking guns, you kill dudes, you blow shit up, you kill the dictator, and then you either die or you accidentally nuke the fucking place, and then the game is over, right? Well, Avatar is not like that. You create your Na'vi, and then you venture out in the world. You do not get XP for every kill and mission complete. The way you get stronger is by hunting and gathering. And then you get recipes or blueprints from clans you visit. And then when you build a reputation with that clan by helping them out in various different ways, you then get more access to higher rarity of these blueprints to then craft better gear. And then the gear makes you stronger. The quality of the gear you craft is determined by the quality of the actual material. The actual material you get from hunting and gathering is affected by day-night cycle, the condition of the environment, and the weather. Like, let's say you're trying to gather material from the world, like a fruit, for example, right? Your character grabs it, you use the left stick to find the sweet spot to pull, press R2 and you pull. That'll be pristine. But if you forcefully grab it and forcefully try to pull with the R2 button, then you reduce the quality from pristine to fair to, I think it's just pristine and fair. There's two qualities. And what that does is it actually reduces the overall stat that you can get from that individual piece. Oh, my son is in the back crying. It's probably almost time to feed him. Alright, I'm back from feeding my sons. I forgot where I left off. I think I was talking about the side activities you can do in Pandora. But yeah, there's a bunch. I think there's like six different kinds, and they're spread across each of the 3 major regions in Pandora, or the Western Front. And it's reminiscent to like Ghost of Tsushima type of side activities. It's more like a way to do meditative things for your character and to kind of appreciate the world and the lore behind Avatar. And the good thing is, and we know about the UI atrocities that Ubisoft is known for, it's pretty much non-existent here. Even on the guided selection, there's two selections you can choose on in the settings, which is guided and exploration. It's just really refreshing. There's no real hand holding, and if you do get lost in guided mode, you could just hold the Navi sense, which is a technique that you can use to sort of like get a deeper insight in the world. If you're playing on exploration mode, which is how I played, the game will tell you like descriptions of locations and sort of like checkpoints and things to look out for in the general location of this region, and then from there you kind of just read the environment and kind of just find your way there. There's no Resident Evil 4 like yellow paint plaster that guides you. It's very detailed. The environment is just so rich and distinctive that you could kind of find your way easily based on descriptions. In terms of combat, which is like the main focus for most players and why most people will probably engage with this game, it's snappy. It's very sharp. It's very precise, responsive. I love it. It's amazing. Movement feels reminiscent to, I would say, Mirror's Edge. There's a ton of parkouring happening here. In order to jump, you would have to hold the X or A button or space if you're playing on keyboard. And then let go, and your Navi will charge up. And then you have the ability to double jump at a certain point in the game. And I was talking about crafting and making yourself stronger through crafting your gear, but there is a level of progression. You earn skill points by finding these flora called Tarsiu. It's a flora that you could connect your kuru, which is the braid that's connected to the head, which is actually a tendril of nerves that allows Navi to communicate with the sentient being called Ewa. And then they'll grant you gameplay enhancement, not power enhancement, not a means to become stronger. It's a means to play better. So like the double jump, as I mentioned, or like you can fast travel for free instead of using resources. The skill points can be allocated into a skill tree, and it's a typical pathway that everyone should be used to by now. Basically, there's a warrior path, hunter's path, survivor's path, and basically you'll get things like 25% more damage with your bows, 25% more damage with your RDA. There's 7 types of weapons to choose from. There's 3 different bows: heavy, rapid fire, and regular longbow. Then there's a sling, like a sling stick. Basically, you could sling 3 different kind of explosives. You get a spear that you can toss, basically. And then there's a disposable rocket launcher that you could pick up. You get a shotgun. I forgot to mention that. You do get a shotgun. You get an AR and a shotgun. That's as far as it goes with the weapon selection. Unfortunately, it's not like you get a pistol, a sniper rifle, a grenade launcher, a sword or a spear or a shield for like a melee build. It seems like Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, even on its gameplay level, is designed entirely to respect the source material, to respect the continuity of the franchise, because this is connected to the films. You don't just go into an RDA outpost and just simply blow shit up and then you just call it a day. You can kill everyone and then you still have to do a series of objectives to complete it, because these RDA outposts are polluting the environment and you will need to shut it down. You get an additional gadget called the SID hacking device, and what it does is it allows you to communicate with the RDA technology and manipulate its network, right? You clear it out, and then from that point, which I think is a pretty cool feature, nature will actually overgrow whatever outpost you take over as you progress in the game. You'll wonder like, oh, is this a new location? I thought I've been here. are a Navi that is part of this ambassador program. Something terrible happens. You are basically forced into this world, and kind of adapt. You're tasked to basically unite the clans to fight against the RDA and heal Pandora. I think the story is serviceable. It's good for the most part. The Navi clans and the actors behind them are excellent. They're very distinct. They have their own cultural preferences. They have their own way of life, the way they hunt, the way they gather, the way they unite. Certain key, elements of each clan is very unique to them, and it was all well done. Except, and I fucking hate this. Why are you allowing me to experience the fade to black transition per cutscene? Every single cutscene, every single dialogue, even with side characters, even with regular NPCs, even when there's big ass story set pieces happening, fade to black transitions is the worst thing you could do on a game that is this immersive. It broke immersion every second it appeared. I hated it. There's moments I was like, my jaw dropped. I was shocked, and the event that was occurring didn't even finish yet. Like, it's unfortunate, but for me, it really is like a damn near game breaking for me when it comes to story elements. Now, the story is good, but the fade to black is so consistent. I'm talking about like, yo, it feels like every minute, like there's a fade to black scene. Like a fade, like it fade to, and it's not like instant. It's like fade to black 3 seconds later, cutscene. Fade to black 4 or 5 seconds later, cutscene. And it's like, oh my god. And then talking to regular people. It's so annoying, man. Another shortcoming is that the enemy AI that you fight are pretty brutal, but like not in an unfair way. You can still completely demolish them, and they do a lot of damage. But the game's like awareness level is kind of like not functioning correctly. So like I'll go into a base, right, and then I'll stealth kill somebody, but then for some reason like somebody saw me, and then the whole fucking area is aware of exactly where I'm at. I could be 14,000 feet in the air, right? I snipe some dude with my longbow, and they all know exactly where I'm at, right? And then they'll start beaming the fuck out of me. Like, I'm talking about pinpoint accuracy, stronger than aimbot, directly into my dome piece, right? Trying to flee, it could be very tough, because then there are these mechs that shoot mortar launchers from their backs. Guess what? A fucking pinpoint accuracy landing of multiple bombs on my fucking dome head, bro. It's insane. Again, they're super doable. You could definitely destroy them, especially if you're a stealth player. But once they're aware of you, you're getting hurt. You better get ready to fucking heal, man. It's like, yeah, that'll do it for me. I gave it an 8.5 at my website, gstylmag.com. I'm gonna link it below. But yeah, man, and it's co-op. You can play with your friends. I forgot to mention that. Go ahead, check out my more structured video, a review format in the link below. Trust me, I missed a lot. But yeah, I'm out of here. Till next time, take care.